right, good evening, everybody. Our friend Shmuel Goldberg, he asked a question to something that I reposted from a rabbi from the Lost Princess Institute, Rabbi, I forgot his name now, Rabbi Yaakov Klein. I don't remember exactly the wording, but it was talking about God's presence in this world, and maybe I have reception now. We could try it again. But I don't believe I'll be able to open that up, so we could. But anyway, we saw there that Shmuel Goldberg was asking, is the Baal Shem Tov saying that God is in the world? And then he essentially asked, is this pantheism? And we all know that the Benedict Spinoza, he got in trouble for espousing something that sounds very similar to pantheism. Here we have, so Rabbi Klein says the Baal Shem Tov came to reveal that Hashem is hidden not from the world, but in the world. And so Shmuel Goldberg asks, is the Baal Shem Tov saying that God is in the world? This is pantheism, and I'm assuming that's a question. Is this pantheism? So I'll tell you what I remember some time ago. There's a very famous Ger Tzedek. His name is Rabbi Usher Wade. He was a Methodist pastor, and he was stationed as a military chaplain in the American Army stationed in Germany. So he married the daughter of a German Methodist pastor, and they had a family, and they lived in Germany. And the story you can find very easily online. He abandoned Christianity and became a Hasidic Jew, a Ger Chosid. So the interesting thing is Reb Usher, who I knew when I learned in Or Sameach, it's also his alma mater. He lives around the block from there in Ma'al Dafna, in Yerushalayim. So Rabbi Dr. Wade, he said, he was when he came back to America. Oh, that was where I was supposed to turn. I couldn't see because the lights were off. This guy's behind me. Ugh. All right, have to go to the next turn. So Rabbi Dr. Wade, he's a professor in Touro College, I think. I know he was. I'm assuming he still is. When he came back to America after he converted in Germany, and he was from Virginia, and so he settled in Richmond, and he was. I think he was back to being a college professor or something, and he joined the shul where many years later, this is before I was even born, when he was a member in that shul, but many years later I was the Rav of that shul, one of the last rabbis to serve in that shul called Emes in Richmond. That shul with a very strong history, and unfortunately it's not around anymore. But Baruch Hashem, at least the building is still in Jewish hands. The girls' school now, Sharei Torah. So anyway, he came back to visit in Richmond, and he gave a lecture at the JCC. We had a nice program there, and some of the boys from the yeshiva, there's a yeshiva in Richmond, they asked him, what's this about? It seems like the Baal Shem Tov is pushing pantheism. And Rabbi Wade answered them very wisely. He said like this. He said, Spinoza's mistake was, he thought all there was this world. And so God is manifest in this world, and that's all there is. So he said, a mashal, a parable that you could compare to, is a sponge in the middle of the ocean. So to the Baal Shem Tov, the ocean, that's so to speak, that's God. obviously God is infinite, but meaning to say that the sponge is this world, and the ocean is God that surrounds all worlds and fills all worlds. And we could say maybe there's only one ocean, but there are many sponges in the ocean, right? And so to Spinoza, he thought all there was the ocean, was that sponge. And so so the water fills the sponge. But he didn't realize that the sponge is nothing compared to the ocean, right? Comparatively speaking. And so obviously it's not a perfect parable, because it's not a perfect comparison, because God is infinite, but he fills this world, and he surrounds all worlds. He fills all worlds and surrounds all worlds. That's the essential idea that you have in Hasidic literature. The way that now the thing is that the Kabbalists always taught. This is what the Piasetzner writes in his Sefer Movei Shorim, where he explains the ideas about prophecy and essential ideas of Hasidism. Piasetzner was a 20th century Hasidic Rebbe from Poland who was murdered by the Nazis in the Holocaust. And he was a holy martyr. And he's very, very well respected. Piasetzner, he says like this. His name was Kalonymus Kalman Shapiro. He says that the Kabbalists revealed that the whole world is what he said, the Lashon he uses is Kelim Mole Or Hashem, that they are vessels filled with the light of God. But he said that the Hasidim revealed something deeper, that the Doifnei HaKelim are also made from the Or, that the walls of the vessels, of the cup that's filled with this light, right, that like a cup is filled with water, it's almost as if, let's say, you would make a cup out of ice and fill it with water. So the cup is made out of water and it's filled with water, and then you put it in the middle of the ocean. It's surrounded by the water too, even though the ice would float. But whatever it is, we'll figure out a way. That's essentially because so let's forget the time. Whatever it is, meaning that the world is made up of God. It's this. So meaning there's an idea in Kabbalah of Tzimtzum, that God constricted his light, so to speak, al derech mashal, in order to create an empty space for this world to exist, so we should have free will. So this was an essential argument between the Baal Shem Tov, essentially, although we don't have it from his forum, but from his students, and the Vilner Gaon, although it seems that Vilner Gaon's main student was Reb Chaim Volozhiner, as kind of was in the middle of these two ideas. So essentially, the way that the Vilner Gaon understood it is that Tzimtzum Kipshuto, that God literally restricted his light in order to create this space. But the Baal Shem Tov, the students of Baal Shem Tov, said that no, Tzimtzum Lav Kipshuto, it's not exactly in the simple meaning that the light was actually constricted. It only appeared to be constricted for the way we see it, but that's an illusion. The truth is that God is hidden within the world, and even to the point where, again, like we said, the Dofnei HaKelim, the actual walls of the vessel, is made of God. There is no, which is actually something which we would find in Kabbalah and in the Bible itself. The Kabbalah would say, Leis asar panoi minei, right? The Tikkun Zohar says there's no place empty of God. And then we could take it further that the Isaiah chapter 6, it says, "Maloi chol haaretz kavoidai," the whole earth is full of His glory. Although we could ask, what does it mean, the kavod Hashem? What is the glory? Is it a difference between the glory and the essence? That's a different theological question for a different time. But nonetheless, we see that the world is filled of God's glory. That's in the Bible. That's something that the Seraphim pronounce. And so therefore, it's the idea of pantheism is that really all there is this world, and that God fills this world. God exists within this world. The idea of Hasidism is that God transcends all worlds, but also fills the world. And so that's the difference between pantheism and the Hasidic theology. This should be a schus for Shlema, for my wife Chava Basora, and also my friend Moshe Ben Sora, and my Rebbe Moshe Ben Reis.